Drones spotted flying over Paris landmarks. Paris police were hunting on Tuesday for clues as to who carried out late night drone flights over at least 5 landmarks in the French capital, including the Eiffel Tower. The mysterious flyovers came after a series of drone spottings at French nuclear plants and more recently over the presidential palace. The fresh sightings also came at a time of heightened security in Paris following last month's jihadist attacks that left 17 people dead. The first drone sighting was near the U.S. Embassy in the French capital just after midnight, promoting police to follow the unmanned aircraft, which continued on towards the Invalids Military Museum. But they soon lost sight of the drone, and later in the night, 4 other pilotless aircrafts were spotted at several Paris landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower, the Place de la Concorde, and the Montparnasse Tower, the tallest skyscraper in the French capital. It could be a coordinated action, but we don't know for now, said one source, who asked not to be identified. We did everything to try and catch the operators, but they were not found, another source close to the case said. A police source who also wished to remain anonymous said it was not clear how many individual drones were involved in the flyovers, which saw security forces mobilized for 6 hours trying to track down the operators. In October and November, around 20 of the unidentified aircraft flew over French nuclear plants and their operators were never found. Also in October, a 24-year-old Israeli tourist spent a night in jail and was slapped with a €400, 500 English dollars, fine for flying a drone above the Notre Dame Cathedral. Then on January 20, a pilotless aircraft briefly went over the presidential palace in Paris just a week after 3 days of jihadist attacks in Paris put the country on heightened alert. Threat or no threat? And at the end of January, small drones were spotted near a bay in Brittany that houses 4 nuclear submarines, one of the most protected sites in the country. French law bans small civilian drones from areas such as nuclear facilities, which are protected by a no-fly zone that spans a 2.5-kilometer radius and a height of 1,000 meters. Experts say that the small unmanned craft would not pose a threat if they crashed into a hardened nuclear facility, whose reactors are built to withstand the impact of mid-sized commercial planes. But the country has nevertheless launched a €1 million program aimed at developing ways of developing and intercepting them. Drones come in all shapes and sizes and have a variety of uses, from widely reported military applications to surveillance, filmmaking, sports, disaster relief, and scientific research. Is it a game, scouting for future operations? The investigation will show us, said a Parisian police chief. It is clearly mysterious, and even if it doesn't appear terror related, we are taking this case very seriously, he added. A judicial source speaking on condition of anonymity said a probe had been launched by Paris prosecutors into flying an aircraft in a forbidden zone, and police officials said a dedicated team of air transport officers had been formed to tackle the incident, and that witnesses were being questioned. There are many eyewitness accounts, and investigators must sit through actual descriptions and others to determine the exact path of these drones, an investigator said. The most basic unmanned aircraft are radio controlled by someone nearby, but other more sophisticated models can be pre programmed, and these are widely available for just 350 to 400 euros or $440 to 500 American dollars. Folks, these drones are dangerous. Talking about all these nuclear reactors that are here, and you got these drones flying around, and these drones could really damage or get information for terrorists for them to use in an attack. And we all know ISIS is trying to attack the West in as many ways as they possibly can. We just have to think about this. It's not just Big Brother that have these drones, which is the NSA or whoever in government, big government. This is anybody. They're relatively cheap, and they could be used for a weapon of mass destruction. if it got flown into something. I mean, these drones are dangerous as it is. You know, you got drones over your homes, as Pastor Paul always says, and people listening to your telephones. You know, what happened to, you know, good old fashioned things? You know, now we got all of these things that are just amazing, and they're trying to make these drones as small as mosquitoes nowadays, you know, but this is definitely something to keep an eye on, especially the fact that these drones are flying around where these nuclear reactors are. It definitely sounds like someone may be planning a plot um, to make another terrorist attack in Paris. And folks, eventually it's going to come here to the West. Apparently, ISIS is making headway. I couldn't understand why, unless they're actually being backed by some governmental people that are very influential. Um, I think the West is backing them. I'm just going to go on and say that. I think that they created them. I think they're a product of the CIA. And I think there's more to this story, and that if there wasn't, they shouldn't have gotten this far. And I don't know. These are perilous times we're living in. So just count your blessings and remember to say your prayers and try to repent and turn away from sin, because these are the end times, my friends. And if I can see that, you need to see that. It's time to open up your eyes, people. All right. Everyone have a great day, and I'll see you later.